What's going on, everybody? It's Wealth Webinar, and I'm going to talk about why the infinite banking concept does not work. And we're also going to talk about the laws of wealth. It's not always about, my batteries are dying. That's the problem. It's not about making money. It's about how much you actually keep. So we're going to get into all that. Me and Steven are going to dissect this infinite banking concept thing, and you're going to hear all about it. So Steven, I've got a quote that I put up here on the board that is my favorite quote of all times, and it is the basis for what we're going to talk about today. And it is Will Rogers' quote. It says, "The problem in America is not what people don't know. The problem in America is what people think they know that just ain't." So I put that up on the board because that is literally one of the biggest problems we see when it comes to wealth and when it comes to the laws of wealth and when it comes to actually building and keeping your money. So those are the baselines of what we're going to do. But you know what? This wealth webinar series, we do this every single week, same time, same place, always great topics. And this topic is always the one people want to hear about. Tell me more about those infinite banking policies. Tell me more about this infinite banking concept. Tell me more about privatized banking. So Steven and I, we're here to deliver, but we got to get the monkey off our back because this son of a bitch is heavy, man. It's like an 800-pound gorilla hanging off our backs. And that is this infinite banking concept because it doesn't work. You heard it right. It doesn't work. So we're going to get into that on why the infinite banking concept doesn't work. And I broke it down into 5 simple steps. And those 5 simple steps are steps that we're going to get to after I play this video because, hey, all of you realize that this is a free webinar. And there's a problem with free webinars that I'm going to address right here and right now. So watch this video and we'll be right back.
All right. So if this is what the markets are going to do, we were here and it ended up down here and you lost all that money and now you're up here at the top again. Like this is what you really should be paying attention to. Look at this. These are the facts. This is what's going to happen. The market doesn't always go up. The market goes up, down, up, down. You just aren't seeing it. This is how you make money right here. You use your 401k. You don't have to work any harder. You don't have to work any longer. You don't even have to take on any risk. It's all about you making your money work for you. You guys aren't even freaking listening. Nobody's even paying attention. I mean, are you serious? Not even the camera guy's paying attention to me right now. You know, that's it. And then the purple unicorn began dancing with the Easter bunny, and that's how unicorn bunnies became. Boom. You guys aren't even paying attention. Come on, listen. Nobody ever values anything that's free. So here's what I'm going to do. All right, everybody, give me your money. You guys are going to pay attention, and I'm going to take your money so that you do pay attention. So back to what I was talking about. If you just use your 401k to pay off your credit card debts, you can recycle and recap. Yes, Andrew, you have a question?
What's up with the unicorn and the rabbit?
That's for me to know and you to find out. Back to what we're talking about.
And there you have it, folks, the mystery of how Easter Bunny babies were made. I hope you guys enjoyed that, but that really has a little bit of a message to it. And the message is people don't value things for free. If you all paid $5 grand or $500 or $40,000 for a program that taught you how wealth worked every single week, and we did it over and over, you would pay attention. But because this is free, some of you kind of, well, if I have time, I'll tune in. Oh, I'll jump on and I'll jump off. Oh, maybe I'll watch the recording. Maybe I won't if the game's not on, you know. But I urge you to pay attention today because if your wealth isn't worth it to you, I'm sorry, we ain't got time to deal with that. You know, you are the ones that we are here to help. We know this stuff. We apply this stuff. We use this stuff. And this is what we do every single day. But we want to help you get ahead. We want to help you prepare for what's coming, the storm. We want to help you learn the laws of wealth. And my book isn't out yet, but the Laws of Wealth will be a book that we're working on. It's going to be wild. It's my gift to my daughter. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, is we're going to lay out some of those laws of wealth. But before we can do that, I really want to get into the infinite banking concept. Stephen, what are some of the things you hear when you get on the phone with people talking about their money and about the infinite banking concept? What are some of the biggest, naysayer comments that you've heard?
Well, quite honestly, by the time they get to me on the phone, they've kind of already watched our videos, so they have a pretty good understanding of it. And usually the conversation more ends with, probably 20% of the time, okay, what is it that I'm missing? Like what should you be telling me, or what are the negatives, or what are the cons? Because I'm trying to find them and I don't see them, because they've already asked me a few of their skeptical questions, and, very common, easy things. But, every now and then you'll see somebody like come at infinite banking hard. And usually it's somebody that has an ulterior motive. They're selling some other kind of garbage product or some other thing that'll save them, that has huge commissions attached to it and fees and things like that. And the bottom line is, infinite banking, specially designed and engineered whole life insurance policies, are so simple, but people want to try and dig holes. They don't want to believe. I mean, I see behind you the number one thing, it's too good to be true, right? So what I want to do is we're going to go through a few of the things that we've talked about and discussed that we occasionally hear or see people online coming at us, but we want you guys also to let us know, like, what's in the and a lot of you are already clients on here. Maybe you're brand new, you're in the pipe right now and you're getting your first policy, but what's in the back of your mind that's nagging you, that somebody said to you about infinite banking, or you were telling like your spouse or your friends, your family about it, and they said, well, but, things like, well, you got to pay interest on your own money to borrow it and use it and things like that. So what are you guys hearing? Put those in the Q&A. Let's answer your questions, but I can definitely kick it off with a few.
Awesome. Yeah. And what I did prior to this is, I always like going online and I like researching things. It's kind of a dying thing these days. Too few people actually do the due diligence. People invest in, some of these crypto, these shit coins and some of this other stuff without ever even looking into it or understanding it, and we're going to get into the laws of wealth, but that violates a law because people are chasing unrealistic returns because they hear, oh, I made 100% or I made 1,000%. Or I'm a millionaire on paper because of this. They chase these unrealistic returns, which means their money will flee them. And the other thing too that I find with the privatized banking and this infinite banking thing, which, Dave Ramsey says is a scam, I went online and I was researching this and I put in, why is infinite banking a scam? I just wanted to hear about this because we hear this all the time. People see Dave Ramsey who says infinite banking concept is a scam. So I just wanted to know, what were people thinking about? So I just did a Google search. Some of you know what Google is. It's kind of a new thing, but it's pretty cool. You put in whatever you want to know and it spits out answers. So the first thing that comes up, and there's 7.5 million results that came up. So I didn't look at all 7.5 million, but I looked at the top ones. And it says the reason many see it as a scam is because they think it sounds too good to be true. So what I'm going to do here real quick is I want you all to see what I'm looking at. I literally did a Google search right here. Why is the infinite banking concept a scam? And then all I did is I just read the very first one of the 7.5 million. And it came up with right there. They think it sounds too good to be true. And, I started to think about that and I'm thinking, you know what? It does kind of sound too good to be true. This infinite banking concept using a whole life insurance policy. I mean, come on, who in their right mind would want to put money into one of those whole life insurance policies? I've been taught and trained that, to put my money into to buy term insurance and then invest the difference. That's what the wealthy do. Wrong. It is the farthest thing from the truth. So the number one reason the infinite banking concept is a scam is you think it's too good to be true. And that goes right back to Will Rogers. If you think it's too good to be true, well, then it must be, right? But that's not the problem. The problem isn't what you don't know. It's what you think you know that just ain't so. You see, everything we're going to do ties back to that thing that Will Rogers says. So let's get into this. It sounds too good to be true. You mean to tell me, sir, Chris or Steven, that I can put my money into this stupid whole life thing that, I'm still skeptical on. And you mean to tell me it's going to pay me a guaranteed return. I'm going to get dividends every year. It's going to grow uninterrupted, meaning I can take my money out and use it to buy a car, pay off my credit cards, invest in real estate. And that stupid insurance company still pays me interest and dividends on the money. No way. Oh, and then it's protected, from judgments and liens in most states. And if I graduate too early, it pays a death benefit to my family still after I've been using it my whole life. There's no way, man. That's too good to be true.
Well, it's probably taxed at high rates in there too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, of course it sounds too good to be true, but it's not. It's been being used like this for so many years, hundreds of years. I mean, this wasn't created by Stephen or I. This wasn't created by Brent Kessler. The infinite banking concept was coined by R. Nelson Nash, but it wasn't created by him. He just brought something that the wealthy had used for decades and centuries and brought it down to the level where we all could use it and put a name on it called the infinite banking concept. But one of the biggest problems that I find about the infinite banking concept is that too many people associate the infinite banking concept with a product. They think the infinite banking concept is the whole life. And then we get people asking us all the time, where do I buy one of those whole life policies? What insurance company can I call to buy that whole life? You can't. Call the big mutually owned insurance company and ask them to buy yourself a whole life that works for banking. And what they will give you is a normal whole life that they get paid a really handsome commission on. Like Dave Ramsey talks about, those life insurance agents get paid big commissions. You should call our certified financial advisors and they will sell you term and then you can invest the difference.
And what's even worse is that agent that tells you, oh yeah, no problem, I'll build you a banking policy. And then they give it to you and the people start it. And a year later, they actually talk to somebody that knows what they're talking to about, like us. And we look at their policy and guess what? It's a normal whole life policy. It has nothing to do with banking or IBC or anything else. It has barely any cash value for the first 5 years. But they were told it was, and you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. And I want to debunk that because the infinite banking concept 100% is not a product. Anyone that tells you that the infinite banking concept is a product lied to you. But maybe they didn't lie. Maybe they just don't know because they didn't do their due diligence. Because if you Google the infinite banking concept, you will find the exact same thing I just found on the screen. What is the infinite banking concept? Wow, novel idea. What is this infinite banking concept? Well, if we open it up, the infinite banking refers to a process, not a product, a process by which an individual becomes his or her own banker. All right, selfless plug, BYOB, baby. That's right, become your own banker. And all we work toward providing similar banking services. These include checking accounts, savings accounts, mortgage, debit, credit cards, personal loans, and lenders. Because what they're talking about with the infinite banking concept is a process in which you take back the banking functions in your life. Now, let me dissect that. We're going to get deep into this, folks. Listen, I'm just kind of going over these 5 things that make infinite banking concepts, it's a scam. It doesn't work, and I'll tell you why in a moment. But let's get into this. So if you, every single month, I know all of you, you write monthly checks, you set up bill pays, you pay a car payment, do you not? Or maybe you pay the lease payment on your car, you do. That money is leaving your family forever going to someone else's bank. You probably have a credit card in which you make a monthly payment to make on that credit card. Maybe there's a select few of you that actually every month use your credit cards and pay those suckers off each month, giving the bank 0 interest. And by the way, they hate you and they actually hurt your credit when you do that. That's okay. Because in doing that, you're getting the points, the airline miles. Kudos to you. Like me and Steven would give you a big, hand clap because very few of you pay your credit cards off every month. Most of you just make monthly payments to someone else's bank, the credit card. All of you, maybe, or some of you in Florida have boats because I guess if you live by the water, you got to have a boat. And most of you make a monthly payment to someone else's bank. You see what I'm saying? We have been taught and we have been conditioned our whole lives to make money, work for money, right? Trade hours for dollars. When we get that money, what do? We get excited that we got our paycheck. We give up control of it and put it in someone else's bank. i.e. your checking account or your savings account. Maybe you're putting it in your brokerage account. And then what do? You immediately go out and you give that money to somebody else for the things that you do, you buy, you drive, you fly, you boat, all those things. You pay someone else's bank. The infinite banking concept simply teaches you a process where you can take back all those payments that you're paying to everybody else. So if you want to build wealth, think about that. If you want to build wealth, should you take more risk like all of you do or most of you do with buying into these cryptos and putting money in the markets right now when they're just about ready to pop? That is called FOMO. That is the opposite of what you should do. Every financial person that's actually halfway sane would tell you that that's foolish. Don't take on more risk. Let's stop with the risk. Let's not take on any risk. And let's simply look at where our money goes every month. Well, let's see. You talk to your wife, you sit down, Larissa, where's our money going? All right, well, we're giving $500 to Visa. We're giving $1,000 to Amazon. We're paying $900 a month to that car. We're paying $500 a month to that car payment. We're giving this company that money, this company that money, this company that money. Add all that up and let me know what your number is. Is it $500 a month, $1,000, $5,000, $10,000? How much money are you giving away every single month that literally you could take back? But see, it's not just about taking back the money that you're giving away. It's about taking back the money you're giving away and also taking back the interest that you're paying them, and you pay the same interest to yourself. Because I don't think there's anyone out there giving free car loans. Oh, wait, but my Toyota car loan is 0%. They got you somewhere else. But you see what I'm saying? Nobody's giving free money out. Okay. You're paying an interest rate on all the money that you're borrowing from someone else's bank. So you got to treat your money the same as you treat the bank's money. So let's go to number 2. You are not an honest banker. So the infinite banking concept is a scam for sure if you are not an honest banker. So Stephen and I talk about this all the time. Stephen, like you got your BYOB shirt on, right? What does that mean? Become an honest banker. Be an honest banker. BYOB. What does that mean? Very simple. You all are okay making a monthly payment to Visa, Amazon, MasterCard, anyone else that you're making payments to with interest every month. You are paying them in a monthly payment, and it includes interest. So if you paid off Visa and you took the $100 a month that you used to give to Visa, and instead of giving it to Visa, you just put it back in your bank, do you know what you just did? You just paid yourself back with interest because you're being an honest banker. So the problem is too many people think that's stupid. Because if I saved up enough money in my bank account and I went out and I bought a car, why in the hell would I ever make a monthly payment back to my bank? That's stupid. Why would I pay myself back with interest? And you know what I do? And I'm making these. I hand them a nice little card that says money problem. And on the back, it said, I'm with stupid. Just so that there's no confusion anymore. I just give them the card and it's all good. Because now I know that they have money problems and everybody else knows they have money problems. So we can just avoid trying to help them because they don't want help. You see, you have to start treating your money the same way you treat everybody else's money. Otherwise, the infinite banking concept 100% is a scam. 100% doesn't work for you because you are not an honest banker and you are clearly not a good steward of your own money. So moving on, and listen, folks, like all this stuff is right here, a Google search away. And I got something else really cool that I'm going to show you guys. And I went online and let me just share this screen before we get to the next one. And then we're really going to get into the uses of how this can work. But right here, I found this website through that Google search, and it's Physicians Thrive. It's a whole website. I think it's designed for physicians. And really, when I searched it, it said the Financial Advisor's Review of Infinite Banking. I'm like, ooh. Let's see what the advisors are saying about it. And they went through and they explained, and they right there, R. Nelson Nash. And I get into it. I'm like, wow, they're not negatively tearing it apart. It's a whole life. Now they got some things wrong right here because the infinite banking concept should not be attempted with universal life policies, variable universal life, and index universal life. I guess it could work. So I guess I kind of passed on that. They explain dividends. They say, be wary of the modified endowment contracts, the MEC rules, the pros of infinite banking, non-correlated, it's tax-free. The loans that you take out are tax-free. It's got more liquidity. Use your life insurance policy to make other investments. Oh my gosh, it's an and asset. We have to hit that, Stephen. And then It kept going, but then I got to what I was looking for. Yeah. All this good stuff about this infinite banking concept. What's the bad stuff? There's got to be some bad stuff. And I found this. I'm like, hell yeah. The advisors are coming on my side. They're saying the cons of the infinite banking concept. So contrary, I love that word. Contrary to what others say, the infinite banking concept is not a scam. I'm like, you bastards. Like, come on, man. I'm trying to prove that it is a scam, not that it's not a scam. And the advisor is saying it's not a scam. It's just another way to defer paying taxes on a portion of your income and create another safety net for yourself and your family. So here I go, trying to find the negatives of this stupid infinite banking concept. And there I found another dead end coming from physicians. So, and I went through, you may not qualify. I'm like, come on, there's got to be some bad stuff. You can make more money with other investments, but I do want to hit on this. So I do want to hit on this one. You can make more money with other investments. Of course you are. And I want to be very crystal clear about something. These whole life policies that we design and engineer, you don't go and buy them. We design and engineer them. I'll tell you something right now, they're not an investment. So when people come to me and they say, oh, I want to invest in one of those privatized banking policies, one of those whole life policies. I say, oh, hold on a second. You just swore at me, man. I know I swear a lot, but no swearing in this room. You just said investment. Investments involve risk. This is not an investment. This is a guaranteed, boring whole life policy. You're talking about those things, those risky investments, those cryptos and indexes and all those things. So when I saw this, I'm like, all right. You can make more money with other investments. Well, of course you can. I believe if you were to research the S&P 500 over a long period of time, I think it should squeak out between 6 and 7%. Stephen, is that about right? 6 to 7% in the S&P 500? So you could check that out for me. I think that's about what, a 20 or 30 year average would be. And we're not even going to get into average versus actual, but I think that's about what you'd make. But that seems pretty close to what we make in these stupid, boring, guaranteed whole life policies. So anyway, you could put that money into crypto, and sure, you could make more money in crypto. But when I read this, I was like, these advisors don't fully understand this, because you know what? Why not make money twice instead of once? Why put money in the S&P 500 instead of the whole life? Why not put the money in the whole life and then take a loan from the whole life? And this is where people get hung up. Oh, I don't want to take a loan. Why would I borrow my own money? We'll cover that. And then take that money and invest it in the S&P 500, or take that money and invest it in crypto, or take that money and invest it in real estate. You see, our buddy Caleb came up with the book called The And Asset. You see, what we do with the infinite banking concept and with these whole life policies doesn't have to be an and or. It doesn't have to be, oh, well, if I do this, I can't invest in the S&P, or I have to pick, am I going to invest in the stock market or the whole life? No. It's the and asset. You can do this and that. So as I was doing this research, I just kept seeing all this stuff. You may not qualify. That's a legitimate concern. A lot of people that want one of these privatized banking policies, they don't qualify. So, and then is it a thing? So I just wanted to kind of show you all what all these resources were, because believe me, I spent a good half hour before this training trying to find things that were bad. Like, this gotta be a scam. Like, I read it, like Dave Ramsey says the infinite banking concept is a scam. So let's go on to number 3. These aren't rules, but number 3, you don't treat your money the same as you treat the bank's money. Duh, we already went over that. So of course, the infinite banking concept will not work for you if you don't treat your money the same as you treat Visas, MasterCards, KeyBanks, Bank of America's. Every time you pay them a monthly payment, you should then take and pay yourself back that amount if you pay them off. But too many of you are like, well, why would I borrow my own money? Why would I save up a bunch of money in this stupid account, take a loan from mine, that doesn't make any sense, and pay off Bank of America and then pay the amount I was paying Bank of America back to my policy? If you really stop and think about that one statement, you would realize that actually that does make a whole hell of a lot of sense. It truly does. Because if I saved up enough money over here in this account, which is typically a bank or a savings account or a checking account, you're making nothing there, next to nothing. And then I took that money out. And when I take that money out, remember, in these specially designed whole lives, I don't stop earning interest and dividends. So I take that money out and I pay off, let's just say it's a credit card from Bank of America. And then I take the $100 that I was giving Bank of America, which is probably 20% interest, and I pay that $100 back to my policy, i.e. my bank every month. I just paid myself back the 20% that I used to give away to Bank of America. Plus I made guaranteed interest plus a dividend on all the money that was in the account, because even though I took enough out to pay off Bank of America, the money never left my account. Don't get hung up there. We'll hit that in a second. So you got to treat your money the same as you treat the bank's money. But if you don't, of course, it's a scam. Number 4, you are not saving any money. I love this one. Stephen, please comment on this. How many people do you meet that or that you talk to, are like, well, I don't know. How am I going to do this? Like, where's the money going to come from for this? Do you ever get that?
Yeah.
And what do you say to people that say that to you?
Well, I mean, it depends on where they're at now or what they're doing. But I mean, most people live well above their means. I'm not one to tell people to cut back your lifestyle. And in most cases, we can find a policy to get you started learning the concept. And then once you learn the concept, you're going to want to make changes in your own life to be able to put more money into the concept. So I don't think I've ever spoken to somebody yet that couldn't afford to start a policy once we actually talked about it.
Oh, you lucky dog. You see, I get those every once in a while, and especially when I first started doing this, I got them all the time. I'd get people that would call and they'd be like, well, I don't know, this is awesome. I like this idea, but like, how am I going to do this? Where's the money going to come from? I'm like, well, are you saving any money now? Well, no, I'm not saving any money. That's what I mean. How's this going to start? Well, this isn't. If you're not saving any money and you're sitting back thinking miracles are going to happen and someone should just give you money, well, then duh, this is a scam. Clearly, this isn't going to work for you. Then you go out and, you tell everybody all that infinite banking thing is a scam. You actually have to save money to have that thing work. Can you believe these two idiots that are out there talking about this, saying this is such a great thing when you actually have to save money? I know this sounds stupid, folks. You are all probably thinking I've lost my mind in saying this stuff, but literally this is reality. We actually deal with this shit. Can you believe it? And I'm going to get to the last one because then we're going to move on to the laws and we're going to explain this. You think you know what you don't know. Remember the Will Rogers quote, FYI, you are an arrogant idiot. I had to, Stephen. I had to, man. I had to put it on there because I can't use his name, but that one person we were talking about last night that, was out there always, saying, the infinite banking concept is a scam. And I don't mean Dave Ramsey. I mean that other little arrogant prick on TikTok. You know which guy I'm talking about, right? Starts
I
with
do.
a C,
Yeah.
ends in an R. Yeah, that guy. And then the other one starts with a R and ends in a B. Yeah, those two guys that hate us and, say that this is just one giant scam. What I call them is
they don't. Well, first off, they don't hate us though. First off, they're trying to push a shitty product, and they have to attack us because ours is so much superior. You can't do what they sell versus what we do comparison. Because if there was a debate, they get blown out of the freaking water. It wouldn't even be close. So they have to come after the concept or the idea because they can't actually talk facts. It's a crappy. They're in a bad position.
Yeah,
they're trying to push something because they make a ton of money on what they sell versus what we do that actually helps people. But that's why.
Absolutely. So folks, I would just urge you, when you're talking about the infinite banking concept and you talk to an advisor, you watch because the number one thing, if you punch in the infinite banking concept is a scam or is the infinite banking concept a scam, Dave Ramsey will come up. But I'm not going to even talk about that because we already did a great video, me and Brent, about that whole video because I'm a Dave Ramsey fan. So I didn't even do it in a negative way. So we went through that whole thing. But then, if you just look at all the other videos, every single person in this space did a video against Dave Ramsey. And we all said the same thing. That dude, Mr. Ramsey, doesn't know what he's talking about. He thinks that this is a normal whole life that you buy from just the insurance company down the street. And he doesn't even understand what we do. Not even close. So he is this guy right here, this arrogant idiot that I put up on him. All right, so let's move on because I know you all don't want to keep hearing me talk about the arrogant idiot. Now what I'd like to do is I'd like to go through the laws of wealth. And as soon as we get done with the laws of wealth, we're really going to dive deep, very deep into the infinite banking concept and how it actually does work. And I'm going to explain it and I'm going to show it to you in actual numbers. So, there's some people on here that love the numbers. I know there's a lot of questions, a ton of questions coming in. So if any of you have questions while we're going through these laws, or when we're starting to talk about the infinite banking concept not being a scam and how it actually works, what I'd like you to do is put those questions in the Q&A, and either Stephen or myself will answer them before we're done today. If you're putting any of the comments or questions in the chat, there's a good chance we won't see them and they won't get answered. So please use the Q&A. So diving into the laws of wealth. So I have deep dived into a book called The Richest Man in Babylon. The Richest Man in Babylon was written in the 1920s. I've read this book 5 times, and I will read it another 50 before I die. I might read it another 500 times, because this book is written about a man, the richest man in Babylon, which was the wealthiest city in the world back in its time, which was about 903 BC, before Christ, that means. So these laws, which back then they called the laws of gold, were used then, and they still apply today. All I've done is I've taken the same basic principles that they applied to gold. The richest man in Babylon applied to gold. And I have then fast forwarded to today, 2021, soon to be 2022. And I have basically said, these are the laws and how they would apply today. So law number 1, these are very important, and they all fit into all those reasons why the infinite banking concept would be a scam, because if you don't save any money, if all these things apply, then obviously you're going to say it's a scam because it doesn't work for you and your situation. First, law of wealth. And the reason it says the laws of wealth from dad is because this book, the laws of wealth, is me teaching my daughter, Viviana, these basic laws. So it's like me reading her a bedtime story. I'm reading her these laws and teaching her. Law number 1, 1/10 of your money is yours to keep. What do I mean by that? You're probably thinking all of my money is mine to keep. I work hard for all the money I make. It's all mine to keep. It is not. You do not keep your money, because you make money and you give it all away. We already went over this. I'm talking about the money you actually keep, the money that you make, that you actually keep, and then can apply rule number 2 or law number 2 to. So the first law is you got to keep 1/10 of your income. What income though? Gross income, not your net, not the amount after taxes and health insurance and, you know, that term insurance you buy and all those things. That's not the wealth I'm talking about, or the income I'm talking about, your gross income. So if you all, you know, if you just did it simply, if you make $100,000 gross per year, you need to keep 10%. And if you're under that, just be honest with yourself, find a way to keep a bare minimum of 1/10. There is no deviation from this except for up. If you're doing less than 10%, you will fail at this wealth building game. Okay. Pay yourself first is the thing I always like to say. So paying yourself first means pay yourself at least 10% of your gross income. And when you pay yourself, think of it as you worked for this money, you made it, and then you gave a bunch of it away. You paid yourself 10% or more. I did this calculation the other day, and I was pretty excited. I did it for mine, and my number was 26. I was actually disappointed. 26% was the amount that I'm keeping, and I'm like, man, I'm failing myself, you know, because when you strive to save 10% or keep 10%, that's your first goal, but then you got to strive the next level and the next and the next. I truly thought, because I save a lot of money, I keep a lot of money, and I thought it was going to be like 40 or 50%. But remember, as you make more money, you have to save more money. That's where I missed. I was making more, but I didn't change the amount that I was keeping. I kept it the same. So as I made more, my number went down. You see, I was cheating myself because I wasn't paying myself the proper amount first, and I hope none of you are. Law number 2, make your money work for you. This is a very foreign concept for most people. And this is what Stephen and I talk about a lot. The money that you kept, because it goes right in order. The money you kept, the 10%, or, you know, in my case, the 26%, or whatever your number is, we can't just leave that money sitting, because that money can never be lazy. I have a cat here. His name is Lazy Cash because he is lazy. Cats are just lazy. Your money cannot mimic your cat. It needs to go out and work. Your money wants to work. Your cat wants to sleep and then bug you and scratch you for food. And that's all they do. That's their existence. They meow when they want food. And then after that, they just sleep. So they're lazy little critters, but they're cute. So we'll put it past that. Make your money work for you. The 1/10 must go to work. Now that can be in the form of, like the book talked about, can be in the form of private loans, like we do with Private Money Club. Okay. It could be in the form of investing in crypto and having rules of investing in the stock market. You have to make your money go to work somehow, some way. The money you keep needs to go out there and go to work. And then that money will then create children, which is the interest, the dividends, and the gains that your money working created. Do not eat your children. In other words, the money that your money working makes That needs to go to work too. You can skim a little off the top, but do not eat your children. Don't take the money your money's earning and then come back and go and buy a boat with it. That's the same as eating your children. Like your children aren't, well, your children, which is the interest you're making, want to be clear about this. They're not out there working and they want to work. Okay. Number 3, always protect your wealth. This, I would say, law number 3 is being heavily violated today. Any of you that are investing deeply and heavily into cryptocurrencies or anything, like Bitcoin or Shiba Inu or any of those, you are investing in something that you are not protecting your wealth with, because there is no security, there is no collateral. And if it all goes away tomorrow, which many of them have, you go away with it. And so does your money. So your money vanishes. It flees you because you did not follow law number 3, protect your wealth. So how do you protect your wealth? Well, in today's time, this gets a little more difficult because investing in stocks, okay, typically there's really no protection outside the company you're investing in. A smarter way would be maybe bonds, because if you invest in bonds, at least you have an IOU and a higher priority. You actually have a tangible thing that is acting as a security, which is the bond note, okay? It's basically just the IOU. So anyway, I don't want to go too deep into that, but number 4 is one that we talk about all the time. Stephen talks about this. It's greed. Greed. There's so much greed out there right now. It's fascinating that when we do like what the F happens, or we talk about stuff, to hear how people are investing, and they're investing solely because of greed. They want more and more and more. They want bigger, bigger, bigger. They want other, they just want, it's greed. And greed is not good. It's bad. We call it FOMO today. Okay. And in the book, The Richest Man in Babylon, they talk about the same thing, but today it's FOMO. It's everybody's afraid of missing out on something. Oh my God, if I don't put money in Bitcoin at $68,000, I'm missing out. What are you missing out on? Oh my God, if I sell my stocks in my 401k or my mutual funds in my 401k and the market goes up another 5 or 10%, I'm missing out. What are you missing out on? Oh, I'm missing out on the upside potential, the upside gain, the 5 or 10% if it keeps going up. If I get out now, I'm not going to get that. And then my question is, well, what if it goes down 58%? What did you miss out on then? Nothing. You're probably bragging to all your friends. I was so smart, I got out. But you were the one fighting yourself about this because of FOMO. Your wealth, and let me just read this to you. Your wealth will flee you if you seek unrealistic returns. If you're out there seeking unrealistic returns. Cryptocurrency, should write a book about that. That is unrealistic returns in most cases. But if you're seeking that, your money will flee you. Beware of fraudsters and scammers. And right there, I wrote it, shitcoins, okay? Beware of fraudsters and scammers. There's a lot of people out there that want to fraud you or scam you into doing something because it benefits them. Be very, very careful. And number 5, the 5th law. And then there's 10 rules that go along with these, which we're not going to get into today, but law number 5. This is an important one. And most of you are doing a good job of this one. Solve other people's problems. All of you are here today, okay? 114 of you are here today. Didn't cost you anything. And all me and Stephen are doing, and my entire team, are trying to help you solve your problems. If you focus your entire life on this, on solving other people's problems, all of your problems will solve themselves. You'll have plenty of money to do the things you want. Your wealth will continue to build. But the moment you change that and you try to first put your problems and your needs and your, the greed in front of other people, the universe will take all the money away. Your money will again flee you, because this is a spiritual law of giving. It is a universal law. Literally, you can't break this. So give unconditionally and the universe will reward you. But don't have an expectation for the reward. Just give unconditionally. Where the determination is, the way can be found. So you might think these are boring. You might be like, come on, Chris, get to the point of the infinite banking concept. But this is the point. This is everything that you need to know. The infinite banking concept and the privatized banking policy, the whole life policy, are nothing more than the machine and the process to do exactly what we just taught you with the laws. If you violate these laws, the infinite banking concept will not work for you. It will, for you, be a scam because you violated the 5 laws of wealth. Does everybody understand that? Stephen, is there any questions that have come in that we should hit before I move on to the next phase?
No, you're good. Keep going. I'm kind of answering them via text. And then if there's any that stand out, I'll save them.
Okay. So one of the first things I want to do, folks, and I'm going to jump over here to a PowerPoint slide because we got to go over some basic things. Now, some of you have seen this, but you know what? For any of you that have already seen this, it's okay because you can never see this too many times. Yeah, there we go. These are the mysteries of money. Stephen, can you see the screen? Is it the right one?
Yes.
Okay. So mysteries of money are very simple. First and foremost, what is the definition of money? Well, the definition of money is nothing more than a means of exchange. All money is, whether it's a Bitcoin, which really isn't an exchangeable form of money because you can't exchange it right now. It's not an accepted form of money that can be used as exchange. But the green bills that we have, our dollar bill or $100 bill, we can exchange those. So money is nothing more than a means of exchange. And, when we look at companies that use compound interest, we've all been taught that compound interest exists if and only if we park our money and leave it sit, right? We have to earn compound interest. You have to put your money somewhere and you have to leave it sit there. And then it will earn compound interest. But the moment you take that money out, it stops the compounding effect. Your money will not earn because it's no longer sitting there. So the big problem with the traditional way of looking at compound interest is the fact that you give up control of it. You leave it sit somewhere. You can't make that money work for you because it's already sitting somewhere. And you might say that money's working, but really it's just sitting being lazy in most cases. So there's not a company out there that uses compound interest except for us. We're the only suckers, is the only word I can come up with, that have been taught to use compound interest, because everybody else, what they do is they move their money. Banks don't use compound interest. They charge you compound interest. They pay you compound interest, and then they take the money that you give up control of to the bank and they move it in the form of loans, which we'll cover in a moment. Your dollars, are they worth more today than or in the future? If you were on What the F Happened this morning, we talked about breaking news. Just this morning, they announced that inflation is now over 6%. So very simply, if your money's losing 6% by today's inflation numbers, and it's actually higher if you roll in food and fuel or energy, if you roll those two in, it's higher than that, but your dollars are always worth the most today. So if your dollars are worth the most today and your money needs to be in motion working for you, and the definition of money is a means of exchange, then, well, I'll come back to that one. Then why do we all believe so heavily that we need to put money away for retirement into 401ks and traditional IRAs and things of that nature? Well, that's just because that's what you've been taught. You've been taught to give up control of your money and put it in 401ks, but it defies all the things, all the mysteries of money, because if you put your money away into a 401k today, what are you doing? Well, you're giving up control of your best dollars today, because your dollars today are worth the most today. They won't be worth more in 5, 10, 15, 20 years when you decide to take it out of the retirement account, i.e. 59.5 is the earliest without penalty. When you take it out, you're going to be taking out weaker dollars no matter what. And then also you might say, yeah, but the money's going to grow in there. Well, it's either going to grow or it's not. It's going to go up, down, up, down, up, down in the basket of mutual funds they give you to invest in. So that's a crap shot. But over time, yes, it will probably go up. But as it goes up, is it keeping pace with inflation? And if it's keeping pace with inflation, great. But then you have to ask your question, could your dollars, the most valuable dollars that you have today, have worked harder than they would in the 401k? And then most people would say, yeah, Chris, it's all good and great, but man, I need the deduction. I put money in a 401k because I need a tax deduction. I laugh at them first because I say, oh, you're one of those. You're one of those that thinks taxes are going down. Let me guess, your advisor told you that you're going to make less money in retirement, therefore your tax rate's going to be lower. Great job, advisor. You literally are setting your client up to make less money in the future than they make today. That is a failing proposition. Sorry to pick on advisors, but I'm just calling it out how it is. Your taxes are not going to be lower than they are today. So if you're putting money in a 401k because you get to put it away pre-tax, I want you to think about this. We are at the lowest tax rates in history. So you are literally putting your money into a 401k and getting a pre-tax deduction at the lowest rate ever. Okay, it's a great deal for the government because in 5, 10, or 15 years, whenever you take that money out of the 401k, guess what? The government's going to charge you more in taxes when you take the money out. So smart. Holy crap. I'd love to meet the man. Oh, I'm sorry. His name was Ted Benham, who figured out this whole 401k thing. And he doesn't even believe in the 401k. Read 501k. It's a book. He talks about the 401ks and how they're not what he created. And he talks about life insurance as being the Swiss Army knife of the financial world, not 401ks, which he created. Taxes are going up. Wake up, realize that. You're going to make more money in retirement. Even if you don't, the taxes will still be higher than they are today. So why would you want a pre-tax deduction today to take it out at a higher tax rate? Backwards. And then the last thing I'll bring up in that exact concept right there is most of you probably get a match with your 401k. So now let's talk about the positive side of 401ks. If any of you have a 401k at your employer, and you are putting money in, here's what I want you to ask. I want you to ask them, how much is the match? You might already know. And they say 3%. Great. How much do I need to contribute to get the full 3%? And they might tell you, well, if you put in 6%, we're going to give you 50 cents on the dollar. So that would be 3%. Well, my answer to you and my suggestion to you, this isn't advice, this is just a suggestion, is put in the 6% into your 401k because that's getting you 3% for free. That is free money. I can't give you free money. Steven can't give you free money. An infinite banking concept can't give you free money, but it can make, well, it makes your money work. So I wanted to cover these main things because these are the mistakes we make. I'm not going to cover this because we all know this, but this is just showing you how math works. But what I want to do is I want to cover one thing for you. Sorry, I'm trying to get to the slide here real quick. We already know the machine is a whole life policy from a mutually owned insurance company that pays dividends. But it is a specially designed and engineered whole life policy. So it does not mimic a normal whole life that you would go to the insurance store or buy, or that you would call your broke ass brother-in-law and buy. This whole life doesn't work anything like that. It is like that screen. It looks like that. It's got a big old supercharger on that sucker. It's just more efficient. And why is it so different than the regular whole life? Why does Dave Ramsey not understand this? Well, simply because we build the plan backwards. We build a plan with your need and goal of how much money do you want to put into the policy, i.e. premiums. But we don't call them premiums, we call them premium deposits because you're creating a banking system. Therefore, you're making deposits into your bank, but we got to call it premiums because that's what they call it at the insurance company. They don't call it deposits. So we just say premium deposits. So you want to put a bunch of money in premium deposits in. Then what we do is we go to the insurance company and the IRS rules and we say, what's the minimum death benefit we can put on this policy to put this much cash in? So we put the lowest death benefit on for the highest amount of money going in. And what that does is that reduces our commission 60 to 90% because the death benefit is where the commission comes. The death benefit is where the cost is. It's called the cost of insurance because the insurance companies don't work for free. We have some people, Stephen, you love these ones, right? We have some people that actually, what they will do is they will go on and find a calculator, like a compound interest calculator, and they will put in 4%. And they'll put in 4% and they'll run a calculation based on their premium deposits and they run 4%. And then they look at their illustration and they call us all upset. And they say, hey, you know, what gives here? I ran this compound interest calculator and it said I'd have this much after 10 years. And I look at my specially designed whole life that you did that you said is earning a guaranteed 4% and it has less money. And I said, I'm sorry. Do you know of an insurance company that actually gives away free life insurance? Because I've been looking for one. I really need one. So can you give me the name and number for the insurance company that you have that gives free death benefit away and doesn't charge a single penny for that death benefit? Folks, the insurance companies are making money. Get over it. Cost is only an issue in the absence of value. Like the value versus, the cost. That's what we're looking at. These do cost money. So we're not candy coating that. There's a cost for the insurance, but the value outweighs the cost of the insurance, the way we build them in a big way, which you'll see when we get into some numbers. And the last slide I'm going to show you, and then we're going to go to the board, is this. If you are going to be your own banker, and you are going to take back the banking functions in your life. And you're going to do that by setting up one of these specially designed and engineered whole lives. And just so everybody knows, me and Stephen are always joking about this, but the joke's old and I want to get it out there. Does everybody realize that's what we do? We design and engineer these policies. We actually we can help you set this up. So we teach this, but we actually do this. So if you want one of these things, guess what? Raise your hands. We're the ones that will help you do this. You don't need to find somebody else. We'll do it. If your financial advisor says that they can do it, great. Have them run an illustration for you and then have us run one. And why don't you just compare the two? It'll be a really funny thing. Actually, we'll have beers over it because you will be like, yep, I thought he would know what he was doing, but man, oh man, did he ever not? And it's not his fault. He's just not taught this. But if you're going to be your own bank, I would highly suggest you understand how banks operate. So let's go through that. Here's how your traditional bank works. Let's just pretend that this traditional bank here in the middle is Bank of America. You take your 100 grand, the number can be anything you want, you deposit it into the bank. And the bank makes you a couple promises. Maybe they pay you an interest rate. It's not going to be this, but let's just pretend you found a really good bank that pays you 4%. So you put your money in the bank and they pay you 4% interest. But in order to earn that 4%, you have to leave your money there. You can't put this 100 grand in and then go back to the bank in 6 months and take out 80,000 and be like, hey, wait a second. I thought this bank paid me interest on the 100, even though I'm taking the 80 out. They'd laugh you out of the bank. So remember, you have to give up control of this money, this 100 grand, put it into their bank, and they will pay you an interest rate, which I'm assuming is 4%. When you make that deposit into the bank, it's a feel good for you. Deposits do feel good. They're great. You're saving money. You're putting money away. But for the bank, it's a liability. And when you put money into your bank, it is an asset to you, but you should think of it as a liability because that money just sitting there isn't doing you any good. So banks know that. So they turn liabilities into assets. They take your deposit, which is an asset to you, a liability to the bank, and they turn it into a loan, which turns it into an asset for the bank. And they charge 7% on that loan. So now we're going to go a little quicker. When the bank actually makes that loan to purchase that house, okay, that person took a mortgage out, which the mortgage is the asset for the bank, and the seller, they got that mortgage money or that money for selling their house, puts the money back in a bank because that's all they know. That's what they've been conditioned to do. So then the bank's like, okay, well, we got to move that money back out because we're not going to leave that money sit. We're going to move it. And they make a loan on a car at 8%. The car dealership gets the money. And what's the car dealer to do? Puts it back in the bank. And then the bank then turns it around and lends it back out to you to do a home remodel loan. Okay, they charge you 9%. You pay the contractors. And what do the contractors do? They put the money back in the bank. Now that one has a gray area. Some contractors don't put it back in the bank, but let's just pretend that you got some good ones and they do. And then you get wrapped up in some debt and you're like, I need a debt consolidation loan. So the bank says, we'll give you an unsecured loan, but we got to charge you 12%. Any of you have a 12% loan from a bank? Because I know I have one that's 11.99. I just saw it yesterday. It is an unsecured line of credit. So the bank will give you loans unsecured, but they're going to charge you more interest. And then you pay the credit cards off and the credit card companies put the money back in. So now if you were going to be a bank, these are the different things that you should do. This would be the things that you would be taking back control of or taking back the banking functions in your life. You'd no longer use a traditional bank to buy your house, your car, your home remodel, or pay off your debts. You would use your bank. But the downside to creating your bank, okay, if I were to come in here and just kind of cross this off and write your bank, okay, so now instead of the Bank of America being on there, this is you being your own bank, BYO, almost spelled it wrong. Okay, this would be your bank. So if it's your bank, you need to treat your money the same as you treat the bank's money. So you should mimic everything the bank was just doing here. And if you did that, let's say you were earning 4%, which indeed, well, up till the 19th with Mass Mutual, you can, but after that, it's down to the new rates, which still are really, really good. The new 7702 policies are phenomenal. But what you're doing is you're going to earn 4, and you're going to basically make loans out, whether to yourself or someone else, at a higher rate than what you actually are earning. So 4 is what you're earning, 7 is what you're paying, okay? Or charging, whichever way you're going to do it. Then you buy your own car. Charge yourself 8% if the bank was going to charge 8%. You're making 4. And when you took the money out to buy the car, remember, your money's still making that guaranteed interest rate, but you're also charging yourself interest because you have to treat your money the same as the bank or the same as you would treat the bank's money. So you get the drift. So we're just going to keep going. The difference, the spread on all these. Here's the spread. So today the bank is making a spread of 20% on the money that you leave there. If your name was on the bank, you would be making that spread, which means you'd be making 500% more than, well, the bank right now makes 500% more than you do by leaving your money there, because the bank is basically paying you 4, they're making 20. That's 5 times more. That's 500%. So I just wanted to do that so that you all understood how a bank actually works. Because if you understand how a bank works, then it becomes very, very easy for you to then start learning how to actually move your money. And that's what we're going to go into next. Stephen, do we have any questions that we should hit real quick?
We have a couple. It's up to you. Want to take a break and answer a few?
Yeah, let me just hit a couple of the key questions that really play into what we're doing before I move to this next one.
Yeah, we're doing good though. Just had some basic questions coming through, like how much can I fund it with, and little like kind of how-to stuff like that. That's pretty easy. Got a couple of good questions that I think would be good for the group to hear. So save those and we can hit them whenever you're ready.
Awesome. So let's just look at this. So I'm going to put this up on the screen so you guys can see it in a second, but I just want to draw it out so you get the basic understanding of exactly what we're talking about when we're showing this to you. So if you're going to be your own bank, the first step to doing that is, remember, like I said, Stephen and I and the money multiplier, this is what we do. We build these contracts, these insurance policies to basically be your own bank. So the first thing we would want to do is we would want to build a bank for you. And that bank for you is a whole life policy. It is. It's a specially designed and engineered whole life. So let's just call it for what it is. This is the whole life. And for you, all you're going to do is you're going to change just one thing. It is this simple. This is the part where I can't understand why people overcomplicate this. This involves changing one thing. Today, you make money, 10 W-2s or 1099s, however you make your income. Okay, you're making that, and that money is probably going to someone else's bank. Okay, we'll call that Bank of America, just so I can pick on the big guy. Okay, all we're going to do is we're going to change where and I'm talking about not the full income, but I'm only talking about the amount you're saving. So how much money you got going into the 401k above and beyond the match. So remember, we went over the 401k. If you get a match for putting in 6%, you max out the match, put in 6%. But if you're putting 10 in right now, well, guess what you just did? You just picked up 4%, which is money that you can change one thing on, and that money can go over here. So you made 4% or saved 4% from putting it into your 401k, that goes here. If you're putting money in a savings account or a checking account, you change one thing and you put that money here. And why would you want to do that? Well, it's very simple, folks. Unless your bank is paying you a guaranteed interest rate plus dividends, which by today's standards can be up to 6% with the insurance companies. And why I say up to is, each insurance company is a little different. Some are 5.5, some are 6 with dividend. So I'm just going to call it for what it is, 6. Okay, so we figured out where the money's coming from because you're already saving money. We just change where it goes, one change. Then we got that money sitting here, earning, let's just say 6% with dividend, which the 6% is not all guaranteed. Only the guaranteed portion is, the rest is the dividend. Then what we're going to do is we're going to look over on the other side. Where's all your money going today? Car payments, credit card payments, cell phone payment, not the bill, but like buying and financing your cell phones, home remodeling, maybe that exercise equipment you bought during COVID that you financed from the exercise equipment supplier. You get it. Like your money's going to all of these. So let's just say your credit card bill is $500 a month to all the credit cards. Your car payments are $700 a month. Your cell phone payment is $60 a month. Your home remodel loan or HELOC loan, whatever you want, is $200 a month, and your exercise equipment's $150 a month. So if we were to add all those up, that's all money that you're giving away. So here's the hardest part about this. Remember, we're going to change where the money goes first, but this is the part that sucks. Building wealth this way, building wealth the way that the wealthy have, and building wealth following the 5 laws of wealth takes time. That sucks. I know. Doesn't happen overnight. You're not going to put money in some shit coin and then tomorrow it's up 1,000%. It's not going to work that way here. This is a slow build, but true wealth that you get to keep, actually takes time. So you're going to put that money over here, and as it builds up, when you get enough money, let's just say we build this thing up to $10,000. You're putting $800 a month into it. Let's just pretend, or $866 or whatever that works out to be. That's the amount you're putting in. And after a year, you got 10 grand in there. Then what we do is we look over here and we say, all right, which is our lowest debt? What is the lowest balance on the debts? And let's just say you owe 10 grand to the financing of the exercise equipment and they're charging you 6%. Let's just pretend that's one of your debts. What we're going to do is we're going to take a loan from your policy or from the insurance company. But why would we take a loan? This is something that's important because most people hate loans. You're like, wait, I'm going to take a loan to pay off another loan? That makes no sense. How many of you think that's kind of a logical thing to think? Why would I take a loan to pay off another loan? How many of you think that's something that doesn't make sense? Well, all right, let me ask you this. How many of you have taken a loan out that you've had to pay taxes on? Anyone? Anyone ever take a home equity line of credit out? Steven, you ever taken a loan out that they actually charged a tax on?
No.
No, loans are not taxable. So if you have all this money over here, this 10 grand, let's just say some of that's gain, and you take it out as a loan, there's no tax on that. But the bad part about a loan is when you think of a traditional loan, doesn't it have to be paid back? Yep. But what if I told you that the loan from the insurance company never needs to be paid back? And the reason we're taking a loan from the insurance company is because they allow it. They allow us to take some or all of this 10 grand, depending on where you're at with your policy, as a loan. And because of that, all $10,000 stays in our account. So this loan doesn't even come from our policy. This loan actually comes from the insurance company, so that our money never left the account. That's how the insurance company can pay us uninterrupted compound interest on all of the money that's in there, even if we take it all out. Because we're just going to pretend that we're going to take all $10,000 out as a loan. The insurance company loaned us that money, but they gave us a loan against their death benefit, because this is an insurance policy at the end of the day. And the death benefit, let's say it's $500,000. If we take a $10,000 loan, your death benefit is no longer 500. It is now 490. The insurance company is just giving you part of your death benefit early in the form of a loan so that it's tax-free. And when they do that, they charge you interest on that loan. Oh, I knew there was a catch, you son of a pup. There's always a catch. They are going to charge you interest on that loan. But here's the cool part. Your 10 grand, all of it, even though you took 10 grand out, all of that money is earning interest and dividends. And what did I say the rate is today? 6%. How many of you can do simple math? Can someone tell me what 6 minus 5 is?
1.
1. But this is growing. So next year, it's not 10,000 earning 6%. It's more than 10,000 because of compounding. Okay. So next year, it's 10,000 plus the 6% compounding at 6. The year after that, it's compounding on the higher amount and the higher. That's how compounding works. The loan on the 10 grand is 5% on 10 grand, simple interest. So if you're making 6 and you're losing 5 to the insurance company, you're still making more than most of you are making in your checking or savings account. Welcome to being your own bank. And every single year you get a raise, because every single year, if the spread's 1% this year, next year it's more. Okay, next year it's going to, and the year after is more. And the example I'm going to show you in a second, by the 5th year, I'm going to show you my policy. It's 10.9%. So if we do 10.9 minus 5, my spread by the 5th year is 5.9%. Folks, this is just mathematics. It's not hocus pocus. Okay. This money keeps going up. The loan interest is simple interest on the same amount. But now let's keep going one step. I just trying to help you guys understand how this whole thing works. So let's kind of keep going. We took 10 grand out. What are we going to do with that 10 grand? We are going to apply a process called the infinite banking concept. And that process is basically just what I showed you. It's the process of you treating your money the same as the bank's money. So we're going to take that money and we're going to pay off this loan. Okay, this loan is now paid in full because we took 10 grand from our policy. The insurance company gave us a loan for the 10 grand from our death benefit. We pay off the exercise equipment loan, which they were charging us 6% and $150 a month. But you can't stop there, because now if we stop there, we're violating one of the laws of wealth. We have to treat our money the same as we treat the bank's money. You never complained, or maybe you did, about that $150 a month you paid the bank. So what we're going to do is we're going to redirect that $150 a month payment that you used to give here that you no longer owe because you paid it off. And we're going to redirect that $150 back to your bank as a loan repayment. Same thing you were doing before, except for you just changed who the bank is. You are the bank. The $150 you gave to them now comes back to you. And part of this $150 is interest, is it not? So now you're paying yourself back with interest, because you were getting charged 6% there. So you're going to pay yourself back the exact same amount that you paid to them. And now that goes to you. So now you've got, the next year you put another 10 grand in. So now up here, we've got 20,000, I don't know, it's going to be more than that. I'm not going to do the math, but 20K plus with interest. Okay. So we got 20K over here. of which we took 10,000 out to pay that loan back, but now 150 every month is coming back. So that money's going up. So then we're going to look over here and we're going to take the next loan and we're going to pay off that home remodel loan. And we're going to then recapture the 200 a month that you were giving them. And let's say they were charging you 10%. So that's 200 at 10%. So now you're recapturing that money. And the next year we do the same thing. We pay off your cell phone. We pay off your car. We pay off your credit cards. 700, 500, $60. This takes time, but you see what's happening? All we're doing is we're literally creating a circle. Your money is doing nothing more than going around in a circle. So in this concept, I'll just draw it for you. Your money started here in your bank. The money moved over here to pay off the things that you were giving money away on: cars, houses, exercise equipment, that remodel, all that stuff. So this is where your money went. And each one of these had a monthly amount that you were giving away: 500, 100, 100. And then you're going to take these amounts and you're just going to pay them back to your bank. But the coolest part about this is if you just mimic what a bank does, which is what I showed you, all the money and all the interest you were giving away now just comes back to your bank, and you get to use it all. You get to spend it all on doing more things, investing more money, making your money go to work. The 5 rules of the 5 laws of wealth play perfectly into this because it is making your money work for you. It is doing it with a secured collateralized loan, or protecting your money, because all those things, those are collateralized, okay, with a car, a boat, a house, all that stuff, exercise equipment. And then you're paying yourself back with interest. You see, all this stuff is exactly what we were talking about earlier. And then I want to show you another thing. Get on here. Now, what if we went another round? And I just want to show this one. What if we went one more round and we were saving that money up in our bank and we'd paid off all the things, but now we no longer owe money to anyone else. We've recaptured it all. So now we're like, all right, well, now I need to move my money. Well, what if we then started loaning that money out? We met these guys, Chris and Steven, that had created this community called the Private Money Club. And that was a community where I could kind of get into it and I could lend money out on secured assets, i.e. houses, maybe cars soon, all secured. And we could make a high interest rate, 12%. So now all of a sudden I'm making that money move. And then I just take the interest that I would earn and I just do that and recapture that back into my bank. Because listen, if you all made me a loan on a house that I'm going to flip, if you made me a loan and you charged me 8% interest and I paid you back monthly, where would you put that monthly interest payment that I pay you back? Right now, you'd put it in someone else's bank, wouldn't you? So here, all we're doing is we're just changing one thing, and we're just showing you that the money doesn't go into someone else's bank. The money goes into your bank. It's the same darn thing you're doing today, folks. Don't overcomplicate this. It's the exact same thing you do day in, day out. The only difference is the name on the door, because now the name on the door is BYOB, your name. It's your bank. So let's get into some numbers, because this is the part that a lot of people want to see. So what do the numbers look like? Now, I want to be fully transparent, okay? These numbers are the numbers for the old products. Under the new 7702 rules, the numbers will be different. This is my exact policy, my 7th policy that I created. And this policy was built on the old chassis. So I just want you to know that this is a 4% guaranteed policy. The new one, if you came in after the 19th, would not be 4%, it would be 3.75. But I want to tell you that the end result, the 6% that this policy you're looking at here is paying me, would be the same on the new one, because they just increased the dividend is all. So I want to really look at this, and I want you all to focus very heavily on some numbers. These are the years. Remember, we always say building wealth is a marathon. It takes time. So I want to show that marathon. I'm just going to look at the 5th year. I'll be 49 years old. I deposit $30,000 in the 5th year. I've been depositing 30 grand each year, but every year I deposited money. That money went out and worked for me somewhere. Cars, private loans, all that, like I showed you. But in the 5th year, I put in 30 and I can take out at the end of the year, 33,028. That means that during that year, during year 5, I made $3,028 on my $30,000 deposit. And the reason I made so much, because that's a 10.9% return. The reason I made so much is because every year I put 30 grand in. And all of that 30 grand's all, 3 times 5. So 150, I'm doing that right? 3 times 5, 150,000. Yeah. So $150,000 is working for me. It's all earning 6%. Some of that's guaranteed. In mine, this is 4% plus 2% dividend. But again, that's going to be gone soon. So all of my money, $150,000 is earning 6%. It has been the whole time, even though I sent that money to work. All my money is now gone from the policy out there earning money the second time. So if I made 3,000, that's 10%. Even if I lose 5%, that's still good. How about down here? 10th year, I do the same thing. I put in 29.9. I have 38,000 to use. That's an $8,000 gain. It's 29%. Subtract 5 to use all that money. Okay. Is anyone like seeing a problem? If you made 143% in the 15th year, giving 5% back to the insurance company? And I'm joking about this, but the reason I'm joking about this is this right here is what everybody gives us a hard time about. Oh my God, the insurance company's charging me 5%. Why would I borrow money from the insurance company at 5 when I can borrow money from the bank at 3? Well, then don't borrow money from the insurance company. Set yourself up. And I have a video and we did a training with a cash value line of credit. And then it might be 3.25%. You see, we can kind of find smarter ways to be more efficient in what we're doing, but I'm just getting, I'm keeping this simple and I'm just using the borrowing from the insurance company at 5. But there's nobody that's complaining about paying 5% to use all their money when they made 29. There's nobody complaining about paying 5% when they made 143 or 225 or 316. I mean, it looks silly. It sounds too good to be true, right? Sounds too good to be true. I'm going to make a shirt that says that. STGT, sounds too good to be true, but it's not. This is just mathematics, folks. This is my actual policy. This is policy number 7. And these are the returns of me using my money, because the numbers don't lie. The numbers are what they are, whether or not the money's in my policy or out. All I need to do is take out either the 5%. I use a cash value line of credit at 3.25. So I'm making even more, but you can do it either way. I put this on there because I want you all to understand that this is why the wealthy use this. This is why the banks use this. This is why you should also use this. The other thing too, compound interest. We talked about it earlier, but most of us don't know how to earn uninterrupted compound interest. This is what we know. We put 100 grand in the bank. If the bank's paying us 100 grand, or our brokerage account's paying us 100 grand, or our 401k is paying us interest on 100 grand because that's what we invested, and we take 27,000 out, you only have 73,000 earning interest. With this, your money never leaves your account because the insurance company is giving you part of your death benefit. So if you got 100 grand, all 100 grand is earning interest, even if you take money out. There you go. That's for all the nerds that love math. Joseph here is our studio guest. His smile just came on really big. He's like, I love these numbers. There they are. Year 1, I put 30 in and I only have 27,000, but let's just stop there. This is another, I'm hitting all the bad things. Oh, well, Chris, wait a second. I put 30,000 in and I only have 27. Where'd the rest go? Oh, remember I told you the insurance companies don't work for free? I got a death benefit of $765,000. Yes, that has a cost. Yes, the insurance company actually does make money on me. So if I put 30 in and I only have 27, where do you think the balance went? Costs. That's right. That sucks. And if you can't get over the fact that the insurance company makes money, and you can't get over that, this is basically kind of the give take, then this isn't for you. If you are one of those rare people, and we've met a couple that put their money into their bank account, they deposit 30 grand, and before the end of the year, they make it their sole goal to make sure that they take all 30,000 out the first year. Well, then clearly this doesn't work for you because you can't take all of that money out. I put 30 in, I only have 27, not 30. Okay. But I also, if I die, little Viviana and Larissa get $765,000 guaranteed. I'm cool with that. That's good by me. Like, hey, someday I'm gone. And with the stress levels, probably sooner than later. But I'm just saying, like, I will pay for that. But year 2, I put 30 in. And year 2, I have 29. Oh, here we go again. I put 30 in and I only have 29,540 that I can take out. Well, this thing sucks. That infinite banking is a scam. You're right. Yep, that sucks. Damn. put 30 in and I only can take 29,540 again. You must be one of those people that puts all the money in your bank and takes all that money out. But then see here, something miraculous happens in year 3. In year 3, the marathon is over, not over, but it starts paying me dividends and starts really working. It's foggy. Hold on. Is everybody else having a hard time seeing that?
Clear on my screen. It's just a little small, but
There. Can you see that? Now, if it's foggy for some of you, just listen. So year 30 or year 3, I put 30 in and I can take out 30,896. So now at this point, this is a key point. We call this the efficiency zone. Every year that goes on in this policy from here on out, every dollar I put in will pay me more than what I put in. I put 30 in, I get 31 back. I put 30 in, I get 33 back. Put 30 in, I get 31. See this? Some of you are like, oh, well, why did it go down? Well, because the dividend changed here, because this policy, this design is a funky one that basically gives you more upfront, almost 90%, and then takes back a little bit later. But I only miss a beat 1 year. Then it goes up and you can see all the numbers. These are my numbers. So this doesn't suck. By the time I get to year 11, I put 12,000 in and I can take 23 out. Wait a second. Did I say that right? A lot of people like stop me here. So I put 12,000 in. And if I wanted to take that money out, how much can I take out? Well, 23,000 that year. So if you were to figure that return out, I would tell you that's pretty darn good. And every year it just keeps going up. So this is how it works. But this took time. I had to capitalize the system. I had to start one of those stupid whole life insurance policies that Dave Ramsey said are awful. And Susie Orman followed right along. And a bunch of other people said you should buy term and invest the difference. Or maybe your advisor says, oh, don't buy one of those stupid whole lives. Buy this IUL. Just watch the video. And then I will, if you like the IUL after watching the video, I promise you for free, I will mail you one of those signs. Okay. It says money problem. And on the back, you can flip it over and it says, I'm with stupid. Okay. I'll give you one of the signs. So this is how it works. If you think this would be a great place to store your capital, well, then let's book a call. Let's get you on the phone with Steven so we can answer your questions, because there's probably a lot of questions. But for some of you, if you're like, well, it's okay, I can make more money in the stock market. Well, then let's talk about that. You know, the person, like I said, the infinite banking is a scam. Well, I can make more money somewhere else. Right. So year 1, you could put 30 grand into this policy. Immediately, you could take 27,000 out immediately in the first 30 days in most cases. Okay. You can take 27,000 out and I can go out and I can buy, I don't know, Steven, how do you spell Shibu, Ibu?
Shibu, Shibu.
Okay. So that's it. Isn't there like an Ibu thing on there?
Shibu Ibu. Oh, who knows?
Ibu, because Shibu Ibu is going down in value, and I'm going to make, I'm going to make 1,000% on Shibu Ibu. It's great. I'm glad. I'm happy. Like, go out, take your 27 grand out and buy Shibu Ibu and roll the dice. Okay. Second year, you lost all your money the first year because Shibu Ibu turned out to be a trickster or a scammer and it ended up at 0. So that money's out the door. You learned your lesson, which was one of the laws. You seek unrealistic returns. But year 2, you put 30,000 in and you got 29,000 you can take out. So you're like, all right, well, I'm just going to put money in the S&P 500 because it's going down. Great. So you did that. So the person that said, well, I can make more money in, crypto, or I can make more money in S&P, you're right. But why not make money twice? Year 3, I take 30 grand and I got 30,000 then. And then in 3 years from now, there's a new shit coin out there called, it's really just called shit.
You woke up Dr. V. You woke him up when we mentioned Shibu. Silence, dude. He just popped in. Here we go.
I'm just messing. Hey, listen, I'm just sour on Shibu Ibu because I couldn't buy it, because in New York, I couldn't find a way to buy it. So I'm just sour. But year 3, another shit coin comes out and you take the 30 grand, you put it in, and you take 30,896 out and you buy this shit coin. And hey, you get lucky. It makes 1,000%. And as long as you actually take your gains off the table, you actually made 1,000%. But did you make money one time or 2? You made money twice. And you keep doing that. The third year, you take 30 grand out, you got to hold the Duck V, and you saw what he's doing with cars, which is pretty miraculous. I know he talks about, the Shibu Ibu and Cardano quite a bit, but he also is a very, very avid car buyer. He buys cars cheaper than anybody I've ever seen, and he turns around and flips the cars. So if he took this 30 grand, which it's kind of cool, I'm just picking on him now because he's here, which this is exactly what he does. He took a loan from his policy for 31,000. He went out and bought a Cadillac Eldorado for 15 grand, and he turns around and sells it for 25,000. Okay. He made money here. He made 10 grand profit on the car sale, but he also made $3,028 that year on interest compounding because his money earned it. And then he's like, well, that was cool. So the next year, Chris gets a hold of me, and I say, hey, can you find me a Porsche? He finds me a Porsche, really cool one that I'm looking for. And he finds it for me for 30 grand, and I pay him 50. So he takes the 30 from his policy. I pay him 50, and he makes 20 grand. Duck, if you're listening, remember this. I want that Porsche. And if you could get it for me for 50, I'd be really happy. He's probably laughing quite hard right now. But you see what I'm saying? Like, he made 20 grand on me for buying that Porsche from him that he bought for 30, but he also made an additional $3,028 or whatever one of these numbers I look at. So sorry, I'm just kind of getting into this, but I'm just trying to show you how the infinite banking concept works. The infinite banking concept is the process of moving the money like we discussed. Can it work for retirement? Yes, quite well. So after you're done with all the shenanigans, all the car flipping, the house lending, the real estate flips, the Shibu Ibu, the shit coin that you bought, the Bitcoin that you made a bunch of money on, after you're done with all that, and you're just like, you know what? I just kind of want to retire. You flip this thing over and you turn it into a retirement, which we call, if any of you read the book Power of Zero, it's called LERP. We call it SLURP. And you just start drawing it down for income. You could do that. And it would look very much, well, here, let me get to the one slide. These are the returns that you would get. But it would look like this. You would take an income, and this is my one policy. I have my 8th one in underwriting. So this is my 7th policy. I would be able to take and draw out $93,000 tax-free each year. But how I would do it is I would take withdrawals up to basis. I would not take loans when I retire because I don't want to keep taking money out and then recapturing the money. I just want to live on it. So then I would never recapture the money going back in. And if I did that, it would basically, I got this one in here. This is showing basically how it would work. If I had $1,026,000 in cash value and I was making 9% on that money, that'd be $92,347 annually, or $7,695 a month, without ever touching the interest, or I'm sorry, without ever touching the principal. So it just shows you how this could be used for retirement. And here's a real example of my policy shown as retirement. So I'm done with the slides. We're not going to get into the cars because we already went into that, but I just wanted to give you a sample of kind of what you can do with this and how this could work for you. And I'm going to remind all of you, this is what we do. We are more than happy to help set this up for you any way, shape, or form you want. So Stephen, that's pretty much it. Let's get into some questions.
All right. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. So I'm just going to go down this list. I've already answered 28 questions, but just a few that I saved to answer live. So can whole life policies be used in premium financing?
Absolutely. Yeah. Premium financing is just, it's quite simple. Remember I said banks, well, I didn't say it today, but banks are the #1 purchasers of whole life in the world. So for a bank will make a loan to you to pay for your premiums, i.e. premium financing, and they will do it and they will collateralize the loan with your policy. So they will kind of say, all right, we're going to give you a loan for X amount, which you then put in as premiums. The only downside of premium financing is in the early years, you don't have access to the money, or you have access to very little, because remember, most of the money in the policy is bank money and they're collateralizing their money. They're not dumb. They're not going to put money in and then just let you start taking it out like I just showed. They're going to collateralize their loan with your cash value. So therefore, it's just a longer play, but yes, you definitely can. And it works very well right now because interest rates on bank loans, i.e. premium financing loans, are very low. So if you're doing that for like a retirement strategy, that would work well.
For policies issued through mutual companies which demutualize, would you recommend continuing with the policy with the same company or do an exchange to another mutual company? Your thoughts, please.
Yeah, this is a good one. And that's referring to Ohio National, which recently demutualized, which is a shame, but we never saw this one coming. I have 0 policies with it, but I think Money Multiplier has some. So we get this question a lot. Would we replace that Ohio National policy with a mutually owned policy just because they demutualize? The answer is no. I think you would be doing yourself a big disservice. Because remember the numbers I put up on the screen, the longer you have the policy, the more efficient it gets. Now, I know they demutualized. I know the policy is not going to be as good as it was when they were a mutually owned company that actually focused on their core business, which was whole life. Now they're not, but it's still a good policy, and it will still grow, and it will still have uninterrupted compound interest until they change the rules on your policy, which they can't because it's a contract. So therefore, don't get rid of it. There's a lot of agents out there, and shame on them. I'm going to say this openly. Shame on all the agents out there that are going around trying to replace all of the Ohio national policies with new ones. That is a commission play. And I'm sorry, there's no other excuse for it. They're trying to generate a commission by replacing an old whole life that I think will perform just fine for the client. Maybe there's a rare occasion where that's a suitable recommendation, but I just don't think it is. And I bet you a lot of them, actually, I know of one agent, he was a top producer. They pulled his contract. They literally said, you can no longer write for this company because of what he was doing. It's called churning. And that's essentially what some of these guys are doing. Do not replace that policy.
All right, very good. Can you give us an example or situation where the IBC holder uses the money for business, the mechanics of it?
Oh, heck yeah.
One of the best uses.
I can't believe I didn't talk about this.
Yep. That's why I saved it.
So folks, listen, this is one of my absolute favorite things to do. And we're going to be doing a whole series, me and Brent, on the infinite banking concept. Actually, me, Brent, and Steven are going to be doing it. And this is a big thing that I'm going to be talking about because, when I first started with my infinite banking concept and when I started with my policies, I had a bunch of debt. So I paid all my debts off. Then I paid off the cars. Then I started doing private lending. But then after all of that, I had car payments coming back to myself. I had credit card payments coming back to myself. I talk about the bill pay checks all the time, right? I get tons of these little checks in the mail every single month, and I tear the corners off, tear the top out, and I deposit the money and I send it off to my bank. But the reason I have all those is because I've done all these things that I'm teaching you right now. But now I've gotten to a point where my policies, because of all these little checks that come in every month, it always has cash in it. So I'm violating rule or law number 2 because I'm not moving all of my money. There's always money in there. So I've had to kind of dig deeper and try to find better ways to use more of my money that's in my private banking. Now, I know you're probably saying, oh, well, that's a tough problem to have. Well, it is what it is, right? Listen, I'm not bragging. I'm simply telling you, I've been doing this longer than you. You will all get in the same situation eventually if you use what we're teaching you. So here's what I started doing. I have several companies. I don't even know how many. I think 19 different companies, but let's just pick on one. Okay, let's pick on Money School. So Money School.
And Chris, before you get into that real fast, so you own 19 companies, and I believe you own 7 whole life policies yourself, and 6 on other people.
6.
Yeah. 8 and 6 on other people. And those are all in your personal name. None of those are in any of your 19 company names, right?
No,
but you use them for your company all the time.
I do. So right. I'm not saying your company can't own the policy, but if your company owns the policy, it's a company asset. On your balance sheet in your company, you're going to have your cash in the bank and you're going to have cash value, just like Bank of America's balance sheet, cash in bank, cash value, life insurance. It's the same idea. So what I'm talking about is these are all my personal policies. Thank you, Stephen, for saying that. I own all of these. Mr. Chris Naugle owns each one of these policies, all 8 of them. So Money School is one of my entities. Most of you know of Money School from our 3-day events and everything else we do, but Money School from time to time needs to buy things like copy machines or equipment or camera equipment. We got a guy coming in next week to redo this entire camera setup and all the lights, and that's going to cost money. So when the company needs money, it doesn't always have it. So normally when a company needs money, what do? They go to the bank and they borrow money in the line of credit or a business loan. So what I do is, and I'm just going to use a copy machine, okay? Because this is one that I just did. So we have a copy machine out there that basically copies paper. Not a big deal, but copy machines cost about $8,000 for one of the big ones. So it's an $8,000 purchase that Money School needs to make. And when the guy came in, he showed us a bunch of options. We can lease the machine for $171. So just remember that, $171. That's the amount that it would be leased for. So we can lease the machine, or we could just outright buy it, and it would be about $8,000. So what I said is, all right, well, instead of leasing it and giving up $171 every month, what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically be the bank. So I then take a loan from my policy for $8,000. Okay. And then I structure a lease with my company. I could do a lease or a note, but I'm just going to do a lease for $171 a month. Okay. Because remember, I want to have something securitizing my loan. I know it's my company, but you always got to treat your money the same, whether it's your money, your company, or somebody else's. So the collateral is going to be the copy machine. So I structure a lease for $171 a month. I buy the machine with the $8,000. So the money goes into the company bank account. So my company now is $8,000, and they take the $8,000 and the company buys the machine. So the machine now becomes the collateral that the lease is on. And then I just take the 171 and we set up a bill pay every single month from money school back to myself for $171. Now, some of this $171 is interest, and it's actually 8%. And we asked the guy and he figured out 8% interest they charge on their lease. So I charge the same amount they would have charged me. And in doing this, you got to kind of draw a line in the sand. Okay. This is personal. This is business. So consult with your CPA, but if you consult with your CPA, you will find out that most, if not all of this 171 is a tax write-off for your company. So you get to write this off for your company, but yet you get all the money back. And if you did the math on this, if I'm correct, over 5 years, this is a 5-year lease, I pay myself back, I think 96 or I think it's $9,800. So my bank over 5 years gets back $9,800. Okay. I paid $8,000 and I got back $9,800. So my bank made money on that. And then at the end, we can sell the copy machine and I don't know, I can keep the profits or the company can keep it. That's how you can use it in business. But if it works for copy machines, it works for everything else in your business. Marketing, everything.
Love it, man. Yeah, creating that lease or that contract or that promissory note or whatever you're doing the loan for is what should make all that, official. But like Chris said, just check with your accountant.
Whether it's a lease or maybe you just lend the money and do a note.
Right.
I have that.
Can you give us an, sorry. I charge myself 8% simple interest on loans I take from my bank. Is that a good amount? And is simple interest the right way to charge myself interest for infinite banking?
Yeah, James. So yeah, that's fine. I mean, you can charge yourself anything you want. You're the bank, so you make the rules. What's up?
Go ahead, explain it, and then I was going to add something.
Yeah, so you charge yourself 8% simple interest on loans that you take from your bank. So charge yourself the same 8%, but now you wouldn't just be making the 8% simple interest. You'd be making 8% plus whatever the spread is on the policy between what you make and then what you give back to the insurance company or the line of credit, the cash value line of credit. How you structure the loans that you make to yourself is really up to you. You could charge simple, which is usually how I do it, or you could do a compound interest calculator an amortized calculation and say, okay, over 5 years, like I do for my cars, the Porsche is financed over 6 years and the new one I just bought is over 5 years. And then I just go to bankrate.com and I figure out the amortization schedule. So there's really no right or wrong way on how to do that. There's just whatever way you want. Just be very cautious if you start charging yourself or your company an exorbitant amount of interest and you get audited, the auditors, from what my CPA says, will come back and say, well, how much could you have borrowed the money from the bank for? Or how much would the bank have charged you on this loan? And they know how much it is. They could just look. Let's just say the bank would charge you 6%, but let's say you charge yourself 8%. They're going to say, well, why wouldn't you just borrow money from the bank, at 6 instead of charging yourself 8? So you just got to be careful with that. But as long as you can substantiate or show that the bank would have charged you a higher interest rate, then you're good.
Yeah. And the thing I'll add to that too is, we have a mapping team. So if you're new to infinite banking, once you get your policy in force and you fund it for the first time, you're not left on your own either. We have a team that works with you to create a debt map or an investment plan, or, how to create the recycle and recapture the money if you're paying for a car. So we do have a team that'll help you create all that and strategize with you. And then it goes right into Nick's question next, which is, should I use the cash value to finance my car and pay myself back, even though the finance rate from the lender is only 2.5%?
Yeah, this
so
comes
when it's
up
a
a lot.
lower interest loan, like what are the pros and cons, Chris?
Yeah, this comes up an awful lot. And it comes up a lot simply because right now you can get car loans 2.5%, 3%. So the answer is always the same for me. It's very simple. Is almost always it does make sense to do this. And I'm just going to show you really quick because this is an easy one, but it requires numbers. So let's see. Let me just bring this back up. Now I want you to envision this. So remember, this is not a get rich quick thing that we're doing here. So you have to understand that what I'm going to show you here takes time. All right, so click here, slideshow. Sorry, folks. It's important that I show this the right way here.
They're grumpy. I like that new little character. I haven't seen him yet.
Yeah, he's my little dinosaur. People that don't own their own bank are grumpy. All right, so let's look at these returns, right? And the returns could be anything you want. I mean, they just go down a little. Doesn't matter. So in the first year, remember, if we put in 30, we had 27,000. We put in 30, this is year one, and we have 27,000. So we would have to do the math. We're at a loss, right? So the first year, if you were to do this and you took the 27,000 out to pay off a car that you're paying 2.5, it would not probably make sense the first year. But let's just say you kept going down the line. Eventually, you're not at a loss. You're putting 30,000 in and you're taking 33 out. You're making 10. So now 10 minus 5 is 5.9. So you made 5.9 plus, even though it's only 2.5, I add the 2.5 to my spread. Now that makes a whole heck of a lot of sense, doesn't it? Because now every payment of that car payment now goes back into my bank. So the only time I would say it wouldn't make sense is like the first couple of years, but it still makes sense because you get the cash flow back. So you really got to weigh it out. And the answer, it would be this. Do you have somewhere else that the money that you put in your banking policy could go where it can earn more than 2.5%? If the answer is yes, do that first, and then use the interest that you make on that money and use that to pay your car down. So now you remember, you want your money working for you. So if we take the money from the policy and we pay off the car, your money's working for you one way, which is 2.5%. It's not a lot. But if we take that money and we deploy that money into a private loan at 12%, just using that as an example, we take the 12% and then we use that to pay down the car loan. Now your money's working for you twice as hard because now your money had children and the children are the ones paying the car down while your money still earns 12%. So I hope that, so there's a couple different ways you can do it, but I hope that makes sense. And I just put it into the math. I mean, it just depends on where you're at. And it depends if you can make more money out there doing something different than 2.5%.
All right. Should I still be paying monthly expenses or should I pay them yearly, then put all payments into IBC? I'm not sure where that was going.
Yeah, I don't really understand that. So first off, I have a video on YouTube that you should watch. So I don't suggest paying your basic monthly expenses, your rent, your food, your groceries, your diapers with your policy. It's just a terrible use of good money. It's like taking your money and just sending it nowhere to go to work. You're just like, it's just a zero-sum game. And I don't like doing that. There's a lot of guys that do teach that, try to get it so all your income goes through your policy and pay for everything through your policy. I just don't agree with that. But if you're talking about like funding your policy monthly or annually, it's always going to be better funding it annually because all the money goes to work immediately instead of having to wait 12 months. But if that's not something you can do, like I'll just tell you, I'll just be open and honest. Like most of my income it comes in monthly. So most of my policies, with the exception of 2 of them, they're funded monthly. And a lot of people are like, oh, that's silly. You'd make 9.5% more if you funded them annually. Yeah, but I'd make 0% more if I couldn't fund them because I didn't have the money to fund them annually. Do you get the point? So what is, making 9.5% more, if I funded it annually, what good does that do if I can't fund it annually? It doesn't do you any good. I fund my policies monthly and it works just fine for me, even though I make less money than funding them annually. Now, if you got the money sitting in the bank account, damn well pay it annually, fund it annually. Like that makes all the more sense. And I'm just going to go back to that statement. Cost is only an issue in the absence of value. And that one, the value to me is it allows me to fund the policies with how I get compensated and how I make money.
Yeah, I get that a lot. That's why I want to leave that on there. I mean, Nelson Nash says, your everyday expenses. Yeah, it's a good way a good goal to get to, but it takes most people 5 to 7 to 10 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Duck V said it the best in one simple sentence: use your policy to make money, not pay bills.
Yeah.
All right. Would you max out a Roth IRA first before paying back the IBC loan?
Wow, that's a tough one. So that's Thomas. When I max out a Roth IRA before paying back the loan, the question would come down to, what are you going to do with the money that you put in the Roth IRA? What's it going to be invested in? Is it going to make more than 5%? So if the money is going to go into the Roth and it's self-directed and you can send that money out to make more than 5%, then yes, fund the Roth and then make that money go to work at a higher rate than 5%. But if you don't have a place for that Roth IRA money to go and you're just putting it in just to put it in, then no, pay the loan off. It's like you making 5%, because right now you're giving 5% to the insurance company. So if you take that money and pay the loan off, it's just like putting 5% back in your pocket.
All right. So there was just one was asking, on his policy under the guaranteed death benefit, it no longer increases after year 10. The non-guaranteed does increase. I guess why that would happen. And he was saying, why is it different than yours? But when you were showing your example, you were showing non-guaranteed values. So that's why. But yeah, why does that happen?
It's just because the dividend buys paid up additions. So because the dividend buys paid up additions, it increases the non-guaranteed death benefit. But without a dividend, your guaranteed death benefit. And the reason you're saying that my death benefit went down is because I dropped the term off of it. That's all.
All right. Would you create an example that would show how I navigate? I haven't read these questions yet. So would you create an example that would show how I navigate an increasing tuition cost year after year for my daughter that would force me to carry over a loan to myself while still pulling another loan from the following year? Basically, my recapture repayment plan would not fit within each calendar year.
That's okay. I mean, your recapture repayment plan is up to you. I mean, I bought a flip once and I took the money from my policy with the intention of paying that back. It was like 6 months or a year when we finished the flip. The flip took us several years because of setbacks and problems. So I paid my policy back nothing during those periods until I sold the property. When I sold the property, I then reimbursed and paid my policy loan back. So
the loans there's no terms on the loan. So how and when and if you pay those back is completely up to you. And it's not a calendar year either. Your policy anniversary date is whenever the policy goes in force. So whatever day that is, the next year is your policy anniversary date. So it has nothing to do with calendar years as well.
That was Aaron. I think it was. You're the bank, Aaron. So you set the rules. If for some reason you can't make a monthly payment that you set up on your recapture, I mean, go to your mirror, look at it and ask if you can have a pass for that month. And yourself will answer back, well, sure. Yep. And we'll do that. I mean, it's your money. So you make the rules.
Yeah. So the next question they're just asking, the recapture, like when you lent the 8,000 and collected 9,600, where does that extra 1,800 go, or what is it treated as? Is it treated as income for you? Or?
Yeah, it's treated as income to me. So I'm the type of person that, I don't like paying taxes, but I understand that taxes are, just part of making money. So if you're going to make money, folks, you're going to pay taxes. You can do the 1041 tax reporting and dial your taxes way down. But listen, I'd rather make the money and pay the tax on it, because I believe right now, today, these are the lowest tax rates we're ever going to pay in our lifetime. So give it to me. A lot of people think I'm a fool for selling my real estate off and paying all the taxes on the capital gains. And I say, why am I a fool? You'll be the fool when you sell your real estate down the line after playing all the shenanigans with trying to kick the can for the taxes. You'll be the fool because you'll probably pay 40% when I only paid 28%.
Yep. Alan was asking the same thing. Just get with a CPA, Alan, as far as
that's tax questions. I can't give tax advice.
Right. All right. New, just did my medical exam and got cleared and approved. Stefan, awesome. Congratulations. Awesome. Now get that thing funded and get to mapping and start using it. Is there any similarity when it comes to utilizing cash value component by taking his loans between whole life and IUL?
If you were just comparing taking loans from a whole life and an IUL, it's basically the same thing. I mean, the spread is, in an IUL, whatever your IUL makes, in the market minus whatever the cost is, and in the whole life, it's just your guaranteed interest rate plus dividends minus what your cost is. So no, from that standpoint, it's the same. Just remember the IUL has increasing cost. The IUL has variable returns and they're going to fluctuate with the markets. So you just got to be careful with that, because in whole life, you can't ever have a negative spread, because you're always making more than what you're actually paying. And in an IUL, you certainly could. If what I think is going to happen in the next year, 2 years with the markets, when it tanks, you're going to be losing money in your IUL. And I know you're like, oh, I can't lose money. Yes, you can. After fees, it will drive you down below zero. I know you can't go below zero on the investment returns, but your fees will bring you below zero. So if you're investment portfolio, if the indexes are negative, you're making zero. Let's just use a zero. And then you're still paying the 5% interest. So there's just more risk with an IUL. And the surrender charges really make it so that IULs do not work for the infinite banking concept.
Okay. Let's respond to that one. Can we use loans from whole life towards private placement, pre-seed, Series A funding? If yes,
Of course
yes,
you can.
Yeah, you can use loans from the whole life for literally anything.
Yep.
So
And that's a great use.
cash.
That's a great use of it. I mean, listen, like we have funds, we have Series A funds and we have private placements, and our hedge fund invests in private placements. It's a great way to use it. I mean, you can make loans for anything. And I have some guys from some of the masterminds that we just did that are doing exactly that. They're using the loan to invest in private placements of real estate deals, large real estate deals that they get to take a piece in. It's a great use.
Yeah, and it's just adding. I mean, those are great investments, right? And if you can just get the money in the policy first, add that one stop, now it's in there compounding and growing uninterrupted for you for the rest of your life while you're over here making the exact same investment. So imagine doing what you're already doing here, but then creating this tax-free generational legacy over here at the exact same time. And that really sums up the power of using infinite banking for investing and growing wealth. Yep. It's one thing I always say, Chris, you need two things to create success and wealth. One of them, Einstein said best, the eighth wonder of the world, which is compounding interest. And when it's guaranteed uninterrupted compounding interest, like these policies create, that's even better. So these create that check mark. And the second thing required to create wealth is to always have your money working for you and moving, making more money for you at all times. So these policies allow you to get that uninterrupted compounding growth while unilaterally moving your money constantly and creating and growing more money. And you're able to do these things at the same time. And those two things are how you create wealth. So being able to do them together with infinite banking is really the power of this.
100%. Love that.
All right, we got a couple more questions and then I'm about to put these off until later and get you guys to schedule calls. It's almost 3 here. Is maxing out a Vanguard intermediate bond fund and a Roth IRA and waiting for the market to crash to occur in 08 safer than
I'm not answering that. I can't give investment advice, Thomas. I'm sorry.
Now my premium is 5K a year. Now my premium is 5K a year and would like to do 35,000 and use after a month to pay off 2 cars, which have an interest rate of 7%. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
To borrow it in my bank and repay it.
Yeah. 100%. Holy smokes. Yeah. You're paying 7% on those car loans. 100%. But you might have to set up a second policy because if you're only putting that amount in the first one, you probably need a second branch office to be able to actually pay both cars off. Set up a call with us for sure. That would be an awesome map.
Yeah, get rid of that. All right, thanks. Are you able to see the current value of your cash value and the insurance?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Juan, the answer to that is, and his question is, are you able to see the current value? So in other words, can I see my cash value online like I see my bank account value online? 100%. At any given time, I can log into any one of the carriers that I have, and I can see to the day how much money I have, and it will change every single day. I can see how much money I have and how much my max loan is that I can take out. 100%.
All right, that's it.
Duck said, can you use a loan? And I get this a lot. Can you use a loan to fund a second policy? You could, but I definitely would never suggest that. And the insurance company, if they knew that's what you were doing, would not allow that. It's just not a good use of money. Let's find more cars to buy that we can flip before we ever do that. There's no need to set up a second banking policy by taking a loan from the first. A lot of guys out there do that, but again, that's churning. It's creating a new commission for them, the second one, but there's just no economic value to doing that. It's like splitting hairs, right? I'd rather have you take money from your policy, send it, invest it in Shibu Ibu when it's going down, take the return when you sell Shibu Ibu because you follow your rules of investing, quote, when you follow your rules and take that money and pay the loan back, take the gain that you made from Shibu Ibu or Cardona and invest that, or not invest that, and put that into your second policy versus just taking a loan from one to pay for another, or let's just find some more cars to flip.
All right.
Very good. And then anonymous, I said it earlier, but cost is only an issue in the absence of value. Very good, man. All right, folks. Well, that's a wrap. All right. If you like that video, make sure you check out this video right now. And also don't forget, subscribe to my channel and don't ever forget to smash that alert button. We'll see you on the next one.